Now let us prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
Hear me in your heart. I am calling you. Listen with your heart. I am here. Hear me in your heart. I am calling you. Listen with your heart. I am here. Calling out your name, whispering your name. Hear me in your heart. I am calling you. Listen with your heart. I am here, calling out your name and whispering your name. Hear me in your heart. I am calling you. Listen with your heart. I am here.
Staying here now in that heart space, hearing with your heart, breathing in and breathing out, relaxing, settling into this time and place, into this open heart, into love. I settle into an open heart this morning, and I breathe in and I breathe out, and I allow the body to begin to relax. With each breath, the body relaxes more and more, and my shoulders drop and my belly drops. The jaw drops, and I relax. I relax into my seat. I relax in to my open heart, where I am listening now. I am hearing now. I am hearing and listening with an open heart. In the midst of that open heart, I connect. I connect with divine mind. I connect with spirit. I connect with God. I connect with love. I connect with the allness that I am a part of. And I settle into that part, and I settle into that allness. I settle into the allness of the universe, to the allness of God, into the wonder of this human experience. As I relax and as I settle into the wonder of the human experience, it becomes clear to me that not only am I in the midst of a human experience, but I am divine. And I claim that divinity. And I invite you to claim that divinity as well. And as I claim that divinity, I discover that all the power, all the love, everything that I need is within me. Within me. I bring it with me. And it's there for me to call on whenever I need it. In the midst of my humanness, I am divine. I am one with God. Spirit and I are one. The allness of the universe is one with me, and I am one with the universe. Breathing in and breathing out now, focusing on that open heart, moving into the center of that open heart and listening. In the silence now, I sit, I listen. In the silence now, I know. In the silence now, I am. I am in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Listening, listening, hearing from my heart, being from my heart. Relaxed, refreshed, renewed, living in the midst of truth and love. I breathe in and I breathe out, and I give thanks for this time spent, for this meditation time, for this time of discovering the power within, for knowing that I am one with all that is. As I slowly come back to this time and place, I wiggle my fingers and wiggle my toes and shrug my shoulders up and down and take in one more breath. And as I exhale, my eyes slowly come open and I say, thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
This inner space has the power to set me free. It's the cavern of creation and the truth of you and me. This inner space, an eternity of time. It's the moment of the holy now and the allness that is mine. This inner space contains all that I need. From deep within the invisible flows the living air I breathe. This inner space is flowing in my bones. It stirs my heart, it stirs my mind, and every prayer I've ever known. And I say, breathe, just breathe. Now breathe this peace. This inner space is the ocean of your soul. And when you feel most broken, the truth is you are whole. This inner space connects us one to all. And though it would never push you, it will break down every wall. And I say, breathe, just breathe. Now breathe this peace. This inner space invites us to renew. In all my endless choosing, I become the chosen two. This inner space, it never knows the past, and in a quiet place you can hear it, and it might just make you laugh. So I say, breathe, just breathe. Now breathe this peace of this inner space.
The music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you, David. That was beautiful. Thank you. Just breathe. Just breathe. Well, the song says it all. Should I even continue with my talk? This inner space, the cavern of creation. When you feel the most broken, the truth is You are whole. This inner space, it connects us all to one and to one another. The holy now and the allness that is ours. This inner space contains all that I need. The invisible flows, the living air I breathe. That's what we're going to talk about today, discovering the power within you. That's what Eric Butterworth's book is all about. That's what the book study that we're going to start on Tuesday is all about. And it's just a Unity classic, but more on that in just a moment. I wanted to just re-invite you to the grief support gatherings that are scheduled. The first one is this coming Thursday, and gosh, we've just got so much going on in this world, and so many people coming and going, and it's so many things happening. If you're feeling some loss, if you're feeling grief, if you're going through the process, if you don't know about the process, if you want to talk about the process, it's a safe space. Come to one, come to all three, sign up to get the registration link, and I look forward to seeing you there. It's at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. and we'll spend an hour together. And if we need to stay a little longer, we're welcome to do that too. So join us if you'd like to. And for those of you coming to the book study, please sign up so that you get the link. And everybody's always saying, what chapters should we read? Marcia Chikata, this is for you. Please read for Tuesday's class, the prologue in chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Discover the Power Within. That's the prologue in chapters 1, 2, 3 of Discover the Power Within. It's not a class, it's going to be a group discussion. And for those of you that have taken the class before, consider coming to the book study. We're going to just get more deeply into the basic. Well, you'll hear about it in a minute, but first I went over to a friend's house for dinner the other night, and their little son said, all of a sudden said, Mom, are bugs good to eat? And Julie said, let's not talk about such things as at the dinner table, son. After dinner, please, the mother, she said after dinner. And so after dinner, the mother inquired, now, baby, what did you want to ask me? And the little boy said, oh, nothing. There was a bug in your soup, but it's gone now. That was good. And then there was the father with the newborn baby. And one day, shortly after the birth of their new baby, the mother had to go out to do some errands. And so the proud papa stayed home to watch his wonderful new son. Well, soon after the mother left, the baby started to cry, of course. And the father did everything he could think to do, but the baby wouldn't stop crying. And finally, the dad got so worried that he decided to take the baby to the doctor. Well, after the doctor listened to all the father had to say and all that he'd done to get the baby to stop crying, the doctor began to examine the baby's ears and chest and then down to the diaper area. And when he undid the diaper, he found that the diaper was indeed full. And the doctor said, here's the problem. He needs a change. And the father was very perplexed and said, but the diaper package says it was good for up to 10 pounds. Another good one. Don't quit your day job, Carlini, please. Whatever you do. So what's this Discover the Power Within you all about? Well, first of all, it's about Jesus. It's about the teachings of Jesus, and it's about the teachings of Jesus not from the traditional perspective. It looks at Jesus, the human, and it shows us the unfoldment of his awareness that he's divine. And that divinity is within, not without. And that it's just not him that has this divinity. Each of us have that divinity. And we talk about in Discover the Power Within that there's a difference between the religion about Jesus and the religion of Jesus. And Butterworth, talks with us about the eternal quest of man's search for meaning. What's this all about? Where did I come from? What am I doing here? Where am I going? All of that stuff that we don't like to talk about. It's also about discovering our divinity and operating in this human experience from that divinity. Some of you may remember, and last year when our African ministerial student, Antonio Bestman, joined us for a service, and she and I did a discussion on the Beatitudes from the book of Matthew. And Eric spends quite a bit of time talking about the Beatitudes. What attitudes do we need to move through this human experience, to interact and to be in the midst of it with each other? Butterworth also talks about the practice of non-resistance and living from that non-resistance. And we're even going to talk about sin. Oh my God, we're going to talk about sin. Sin as a sense of separation from God, as error thought. That's when it pops up, when we have a sense that we're separated from God, even when we don't realize that we're in that sense. So Unity Minister Eric Butterworth opens the first chapter of this very well-known book. I have to tell you that in my 30 years in Unity, I can't tell you how many times when you hear the story about how did you find Unity, that two things I've heard the most. One is Butterworth, discover the power within, and the second, the daily word. So many people found discover the power within, and it changed their way of thinking, it changed their life, it changed their religiosity, it changed so many things. And in this Discover the Power Within You book, he opens it with this paragraph, that the hope of mankind today lies in the great undiscovered depths within. He says, and this was written several years ago, that the time is at hand when men everywhere must forsake the fruitless search of the world at the circumference of being and embark upon a courageous quest into inner space. That's true today, and it'll probably be true tomorrow. It is a very real world, this world of inner space. Its depths can be sounded and its potency released. It's not a conquest, but a bequest. And it is not as much something within man as it is a deeper level of man. I'm going to bring out quite a few of Butterworth's points from the book and talk about them just a little bit. And I hope it whets your appetite to come and talk, to get the book and to read it and to come and talk about it some more. Butterworth talks about the eternal quest, and he says the history of man on the eternal quest has been a strange odyssey. In his search for the Holy Grail, man has looked everywhere and in vain, but he has failed to look within himself. Occasionally, a prophet came, telling of the world within. But instead of following him into the deeper experience, men invariably made a god of the prophet, worshipped him, and built monuments to him. They then trapped themselves in a religious practice that had no within. How many times has this happened? How many religions are there in the world? Just think about that statement that Butterworth makes. And this is where he comes from in the book, that prophets came and shared that it was about within, it was about the allness, it was about love, it was about the oneness that we are together. And then what did we do in this human experience? We made the prophet into a god and we worshiped the god rather than knowing that we should worship what we already had, and that we then began a religious practice around it, when the only practice we need is sitting in the silence, going in, communicating, being one in the oneness, being one in spirit, being one with God. Butterworth says, if you have faith in the God potential locked within you, as I have faith in that power within me, then you can, and I'm sorry, Butterworth is quoting Jesus here, forgive me. And so Jesus says that if you have faith in the God potential locked within you, as I have faith in that power within me, then you can have all I have done and more, says Jesus, because I have made the great discovery. Butterworth says we must see Jesus as the great discoverer of the divinity of man, the pioneer, the way shower in the great world of the within. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of the Unity Movement, said this: Christ consciousness, the unfoldment of this consciousness by Jesus, made him God incarnate, because Christ is the mind of God individualized. Jesus attained no more than what is expected of every one of us. Then Butterworth goes on after saying those different ways of talking about Jesus and about worshiping and about discovery. He says that a religion that does not promote transformation is no religion at all. Think about that. And how many religions do we know that we go through rote prayers, rote liturgy, and do we come out transformed? Or are we still searching? Are we still on that eternal quest? That a religion that does not promote transformation is no religion at all. Butterworth tells us that the greatest mistake is in believing that we are only human. Our humanity is but the degree to which we have given expression to our divinity. We are human in expression, but divine in creation and limitless in potentiality. One more time on that one, because I want you to hear it. It's the truth. We are human in expression, but divine in creation and limitless in potentiality. Butterworth says Jesus was the great discoverer of the innate divinity of all, the revealer of the truth, the pioneer and way shower in the quest for self-realization and self-enfoldment. He goes on and brings up the fact that through thinking, humans have the possibility of knowing God and expressing the wisdom of the divine mind. We are the greatest concentration of divine energies in the universe. If Jesus's teachings of non-resistance were universally understood and practiced, we could see an end to all war, to all conflict between nations, classes, and races. Butterworth says that he believes that the early Christians made a god of Jesus. They had the key to theological strength and spiritual weakness. The key to theological strength and spiritual weakness. Butterworth says the age of healing ended with the disciples. Jesus proved to humanity for all time that we are divine and that everyone has within the power of healing. One can be a healing influence for others and can be healed, and nothing shall be impossible. That the potential for healing is in every person simply because each is innately divine, innately whole and complete. We talked about this when the chaplains and I were on retreat and we had the service from the Mercy Center. We talked about discovering our divinity. We talked that we are innately divine. And so the potential for healing is not out there. It's within us to know our wholeness, no matter what the situation. Charles Fillmore said, health, real health, is from within and does not have to be manufactured in the without. It is the normal condition of us all, a condition true to the reality of one's being. So Butterworth moves through so many good things, and we get into chapter 15 of the book, and he says this. He says, is the gruesome story of Good Friday the central feature of Jesus's life and teachings? Why has the crucifix containing a defeated and emaciated Jesus become the very symbol of Christianity? The gospel fundamentally tells of the processes of the struggle of finite man into his infinite oneness. One more time. The gospel fundamentally tells of the processes of the struggle of finite man into his infinite oneness. The oneness from whence we came, the oneness from whence we go. In the crucifixion, Butterworth says, we see that the personal ego, the material-centered thoughts must go, must die, so that the true essence of the divine in us may live. Isn't that what we do as we move through this experience every day? Is that we fight, we go through the struggle of remembering our divinity so that we can be in the place of our divinity, moving through the human experience rather than in the midst of our ego. Butterworth says that in the gruesome story of Good Friday, the central feature of Jesus's life and teaching, and I already said that, and I'm not going to say it again, I'm sorry. But to finish, Butterworth tells us this, and then we can talk about it more in class. We will emphasize again and again that the difference between Jesus and each one of us is not one of inherent spiritual capacity, but the demonstration of it. Every person is a spiritual being. Every person is innately good. Every person is a potential Christ. But only a few know this. And even fewer succeed in expressing any marked degree of the perfection of the Christ within. We all have a long way to go, but we have a goal that is believable and achievable. And there is that in you and me that is perfectible. More than this, Jesus's demonstration of the Christ is repeatable. For Jesus clearly said, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Jesus wasn't about being a God. Jesus wasn't about being the Savior of the Jews. Jesus was about the knowing of the divinity of each of us. This week, I invite you to discover the power within you, to really discover that divinity within you. Thanks for being here today. Thank you very much. Have a good week.